Golly, that's good.
I cracked myself up. I still haven't found my first Blanton's.
That's different. I really like that. They're like together, like peas and carrots.
That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychauds or Peychauds or Peychaud. This is not what I expected. Hello, hello, hello. It is time for the Bourbcast, and welcome. And I'm glad you're with me. And Paul's with me, and hello. I'm glad you're with I hope you're feeling great. I hope, because I think, if I remember right, you were a little under the weather recently, so I hope everything's good there for you. We are doing the Stranahans. It has been a little while since we did the Stranahans. Let's get into it. This is the Blue Peak. We did the Stranahans, believe it or not, the last time I did the Stranahans was in January of 2022. I want to say it was January 10th of 2022. And I'll just tell you, I'm just as handsome as I was back then. Check this out. Yeah. I'll even give a little audio here. Hold on, let's see if I can. So they started this company together in 1994, and the rest, as they say, is history. Yeah, back when I was still experimenting with the blue screen stuff, which was fun. It was fun. I was able to do all sorts of different backgrounds and such, and it was a good time. But that was January 10th of 2022 that we did the original. I brought it out again tonight just in case I decide I want to do a little comparison with it. But let's talk about it, shall we? I've got it poured. It can sit here for a minute. All right, so Proximo Spirits owns Stranahan's distillery. This particular one, the Blue Peak, was introduced in October 2020 and is still on shelves. As a matter of fact, this is on more shelves right now in my area than this one is. This one, so this is kind of interesting. Most of these Stranahans are 94 proof. There's like 6 different ones. This one is only 86 proof, and it's cheaper than the original. The original is $59.99 now. It was $55 in January 2022 when we first did this one, and now it's $59.99, so it went up a little bit. The age of it is 4 years, at least the original one is. Larry's watching. Double hernia surgery on Monday. Yes, that's what I thought you said, Paul. I don't envy that one bit. I hope you're doing well. So it's aged 4 years, and then this one, the Blue Peak, goes through something called Solera-finishing. And the way that it works, if I understand it correctly, is this: they have this thing, it's called a foeder. So a foeder is about 3 times the size of a normal cask. So normal cask is 53 gallons, I believe. Did I get that right? Is it 53, 53, 53, 53? I got it, 53. So the normal cask is 53 gallons. This is about 3 times that size. They say it's like 600 liters. And the way that they do it is they have the original, and it goes into this foeder, and it sits there. And it marries itself with what's in that cask for just a few months. Doesn't give a specific, but 2 months, 3 months, 3.5, 4, somewhere in there. I'm going to just say 3 months because it said a few months. And then they empty some of what's in that barrel, that foeder, out. F-O-E-D-E-R, foeder. And it could be a fader, but I think it's foeder. And then they take the new batch of whiskey that has been aged for 4 years, and they put that in the foeder. So whiskey in, whiskey out, or rather whiskey out, whiskey in. And then it sits there, and it ages, and it blends with what's already in there, and then they proof it, and they chill filter it, and it comes out the way that it is. And that's basically the process behind the Blue Peak. It's named after named after a 13,000-foot peak in Aspen. It's double distilled at a high altitude, aged for 4 years. It's got a number 3 char on the brand new oak barrel. It's 100% malted barley, yeast, Rocky Mountain water, and time in the barrel. Those are the 4 ingredients. It's a 100% malted barley. Now, this is not the only barley on the market anymore. Jim Beam's got one. Jack Daniels has got one. Jack Daniels, I think the only place you can find it is in airports, the single malt that they've got. Another one that you may have heard of, they made a big stink about it, is the Claremont Steep. This was underwhelming. They did a big release of this, and they completely botched the release. It was horrible. It wasn't Jim Beam's fault. It was just everybody's fault. Everybody botched this release. It wasn't supposed to go out on shelves, and then they came back and said, hey, it can go out on shelves on such and such a date, so we had to pull it off the shelves and then put it back on the shelves. It was a mess. It was a terrible botch. They said it couldn't be on the shelves until a certain day, and then Jim Beam did this big event in Ohio like 2 days before it was supposed to be on shelves. So it was just a complete train wreck of a release for this particular one. And it's okay. It's decent. This is Jim Beam trying to remake the single malt market. I mean, now there's one from Pepper Distillery. I mean, there's a bunch of them doing single malts, and it's because there's not enough product on the shelves that people want to buy. Unfortunately, the single malt has been a little underwhelming. It hasn't sold like they thought it was. Now, one single malt that I really like, they're calling it the American Scotch, and we tried this one a while back, and it's the Bear Fight. This is a single malt, and it's in peated barrels, used peated barrels. So they have the Scotch in it, then they bring the barrels over here. These guys age it in a very, very lightly peated barrel, and it's actually, if you like Scotch at all, this is a pretty tasty bottle. For a single malt, I like this one. I do like my single malts to have some peat. That's the truth. I like this one of all the single malts that I've tried so far. I like this one the best. But we're going to focus on Stranahan tonight and give this a little bit of not fond of Claremont. I'm not either. It's okay for what it is. What they've done with it, the experimentation. It's aged 5 years. I mean, they didn't mess around with it. It's just a little underwhelming. If you are a bourbon fan like I am, the single malts have been a little underwhelming. And I'm not expecting a lot out of this one tonight. It's 86 proof. And I've been drinking those cask strength pours, man. So to come down to this one is going to be interesting. Let's see if there's anything that I missed. I really don't think I missed anything. Yeah. That's it. All right. Now, this one came with a 3-ounce jigger. And this Blue Peak is the first Stranahans that did not include that pourer, that jigger, that shot glass. What do they call it? The cap. They call it a cap. And it has markings on there. It's kind of neat. It's a 3-ounce, and it's got markings for 1 ounce and 2 ounce as well. But the Blue Peak did not come with that, and still doesn't, as far as I am aware. But maybe that's why it's cheaper. I don't know. And it's a lower proof. So, I mean, this seems to be a lot bigger process to make the Blue Peak than the original, but who am I? All right, let's get into it. Let's try this out. This is our month of doing things different. We've been doing 2 months of the cask strength pours, and I had a blast with those. It was so much fun. But this month we're going to just kind of be a little eclectic, try different pours from different makers for different reasons. I've got another series I'm probably going to start in September. But for now we're just gonna have some fun for the month and play around a little bit. All right. Let's start with the schnoz. Oh, okay. That's actually a nice nose. It definitely is a single malt nose. I mean, there's when it's a single malt, you know. Now, single malts tend to be more expensive too, because of the 3 grains. Barley is the more expensive of the 3 grains that go into a normal whiskey, which would be, you know, your corn and your rye, or your wheat. Barley tends to be pricey, so when you get a single malt, the price tends to be a little higher than you might like it to be, just because it's more expensive. This one being a little bit lower in price, I'm actually impressed with the nose. It's got those cereal grains like you might expect. It's kind of nutty. Like me. I thought I'd say it before you all do. I'm just getting ahead of it. I was going to do this outside today, but it's beautiful out. I could have done it out there, but the work to set it up out there, and I still had research to do and still had a photo to take. Definitely nutty and cereal-like. It's like it has a scent all its own. These single malts have scents just all their own, and it's just something about it that's really tough to pick out. I can't tell if that's. If there's a fruit note, I'm going to say it's dates. We talked about dates last week or the week before. I'm not doing that anymore. It's an earthier. It's a sweet, but it's earthy as far as the scent goes. Maybe a hint of molasses. I don't know. It's tough to pick out, and I didn't go and look for anybody else's notes. I actually did see one note. Somebody said nutmeg. It's a stretch, but I can say okay. There might be some nutmeg on that. All right, let's give it a flavor taste to test. I haven't even had anything to drink yet. Goodness gracious. All right. You know, really, that's not bad. It does not drink like it's 86 proof. It drinks higher. I'll give it like 92, 94. Somewhere 96 maybe. Nah, 92, 94. It doesn't have a definitive bloom, but there is some bite on the end of my tongue. It's got almost a wine-like feel to it. Wine-like texture and taste. The mouthfeel on it's, for being 86 proof and chill filtered, I'm surprised that there's any kind of viscosity to this at all, and there is. It's not watery really at all. Just saying, hey, I have to get my hair cut. Thanks for sharing. Okay. Well, glad you popped in. Get all of them cut. I'm just saying. My dad used to say he had to have his ears lowered. I always thought that was a very bizarre thing to tell me, that he has to get his ears lowered. Anyway. Yeah. If you're not a fan of the Claremont Steep, you might actually like this. Because I'm not a fan of the Claremont Steep. I'm trying my best to get through that bottle. I just don't love it. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to drink a lot of this either. I'm not a single malt fan. I like it better when it's Scotch or peated. But this really is pretty good. I don't know that it'll hold up to water. I don't know that it'll be mixable. But the mouthfeel on this is actually quite nice. It's got a nice silkiness to it, which again surprises me as much as I'm sure it surprises you. And the flavors are pretty decent. There's a really nice butterscotch to it, some caramel. Just saying, hey, I have to get my hair. I know, I got it. Okay. Butter is another scent, or not scent, another flavor I'm getting, which is it's actually quite pleasant. Not gonna lie, I expected to hate this, and I don't. Is this going to be one that I reach to? No, I would probably reach for this about as often as I reach for an Irish whiskey. I really got to be in the mood for an Irish whiskey. You know, again, you're getting back into your single malts a lot of times with your Irish whiskeys, right? And I'm not a big lover of them, but of the different malts, this one is pretty decent. Now I'm going to do a taste test because I remember this one being, again, it's been a little while since we tried this one. So I'm just going to, this is a glass I used last week and forgot to clean, but that's okay. I want to see what the differences are. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My rag is gone. My rag is gone! That rag's been with me through everything. And it's not here. Okay. All right. The flavors are very similar. This is definitely punching a little higher. At 94 proof, it's definitely giving me a little bit more jazz. But the flavors are very, very similar of the two. And I like them both. I'm going to go back to that one here in a minute. Yeah, I can't believe I haven't finished that other bottle yet. That's really not bad. It kind of punches a little bit over its weight too. I would put this closer to, not a lot. I mean, it's 94. That's, I guess it drinks about 94. Yeah. Okay. Got a little bit left in here, but I'm going to pour myself a little bit more so we can add some water to it here in a minute. There's a bingo card space when I spill. Yeah, you're right. Well, I don't spill very often, but it does happen. And I need, what did I say, 35? I need 35 options to do the bingo cards. And then, of course, if we do bingo, I have to come up with a prize. My mama said I was prize enough. All right. Go back to this. Okay. They're very, very similar. The Blue Peak is very slightly sweeter and definitely more smooth, lower proof. Just so slightly sweeter. Other than that, they're almost the same pour. The difference between the two is so minimal that the only reason that you should buy the original is because you want a higher proof, because you're going to spend more money. It's almost $60 now. It's gone up almost $5 since we did this 2 years ago. And single malt, a little more expensive. So, okay. All right. Just a little bit. Added a little bit more than I wanted to, I think, but that's okay. It'll be all right. I'm not going to panic. Okay. That ought to do it. Chris is watching. Hey, Chris. Stranahan Blue Peak. And what I've learned so far is that these two bottles are almost identical to my palate. Now, maybe somebody else is going to be able to dig in and find something different, but they're almost identical. The only difference is proof, and this one is maybe just a slight bit sweeter. Not much. They're really, really similar. We just added water to the Blue Peak. See what that does to it. Nothing. It didn't open it up. It didn't change the bloom. Didn't do anything to it. I added about a half a milliliter of water. All it did is proof it down. It didn't change a darn thing. So, okay. Very underwhelming. Adding water to this one, why? It's 86 proof, why? The nice thing about this one, and we talked about this, gosh, in the first year that we did these Bourbcasts, is sometimes people are looking for an entry-level whiskey. This one is an entry-level whiskey. It's smooth, it's tasty. It doesn't taste like bourbon, but it's bourbon adjacent. There's some really nice notes in here. It's... I remember not liking it as much then as I actually do now. And this is coming off those high proof pours last month and the month before. All right. I'm not expecting much, but we can't do the gauntlet without a gorgeous ice shower. Let me just polish that up for you. No. Beautimous. Absolutely beautimous. All right, I'm not going to go crazy here. Finger stir. Give something to Paul here since he's ailing. All right. I didn't really put much in there, did I? I can do better, can't I? Thank you for holding me accountable. I really appreciate it. You know, one thing I said, gosh, over 2 years ago when we did this one, is how much I like this bottle. There's a flat side to this. And it just feels good in your hand. I like the way they designed this bottle. Just something about it that is unique and different and ergonomic. Yeah. Finger stir. Ting, 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 ting. All right, here we go. Okay. If you are a beginner and you like your whiskey cold, you will enjoy this on ice. I kid you not. Something about it just lends itself to the ice. It's actually quite tasty on ice. Don't get me wrong. The flavors are quite muted. You got to look for stuff. But the flavor is there if you're doing it neat. Now, if you add something to this, you're going to lose it. There's not going to be anything left. If you add 7-Up to this thing, or ginger ale, or Coke, or whatever it is that you put on whatever, you're going to lose it completely. It's going to be gone. But if you just put ice in it, this is actually quite refreshing. It's 86 proof. It's a low proof whiskey, smooth to begin with, chill filtered, but on ice, it's got some decent. If you are a beginner, it's got some decent flavor to it. You won't need to add anything to this. Now, I say that coming off of 2 months of drinking cask strength stuff. If I was a beginner, I might still take a sip of this and go, "Ha, not funny." but as it is, I'm like, can I have another glass of milk? All right, so next week. Again, this is a hodgepodge. No themes, just having fun. Next week, we're going to dig into one that I gotta be honest. I've had it before. I had some of somebody else's bottle. And this would have been, goodness gracious, probably 2020, 2021. Maybe even 2019. It's been a minute. Somebody brought this to a corporate party that I went to. And I thought it was exquisite And you don't see it on the shelves very often. As a matter of fact, it had quite the hiatus. It was gone for a couple of years. I never saw it again. And it came back last year a couple times. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting one of those. And that is this one. That is the Jefferson's Reserve. This is the Pritchard Hill Cabernet Cask. I remember really liking this one. Now, if you are one of these people who like a wine-forward whiskey, you like the Rabbit Hole Derringer, you like Legent, Angel's Envy, okay, maybe. If you found yourself enjoying the gosh, what's that called? It's the one I hate. It's the one I always hate. I hate it. Basil Hayden. Basil Hayden had a wine cask pour, and it didn't sell worth a crap. And I remember the store that I worked for, they ended up sending like cases of it back. They had it stacked up and nobody bought it. But if you like that kind of thing, you might like this one. And I remember really enjoying this one. And it was funny because I backed it up. I had this one and I had the regular Jefferson's. And for me, the regular Jefferson's after this one tasted like butter. It was so buttery. It was so good. But I really enjoyed this one, and we're going to do this one next week. It's been a number of years since I've tried this, so I'm looking forward to this one next week. We're going to have a good time. If you don't have this one, look around on ohlq.com, see if anybody has it. That way you can drink along with me. Otherwise, you might choose a different similar pour, like again, the Rabbit Hole Derringer, or perhaps the Legent, which is significantly different. But they have some other whiskeys out there that are aged in, or at least finished in Cabernet casks, so you might look at some of those. All right, so we will see you next week. I do appreciate you hanging out with us. Again, I say this every week, but I mean it. I mean, you could be doing anything else, literally. You could do anything else with your time, and you're here with me, and that matters to me. So thank you. We're up to 305 subscribers on YouTube. I think somewhere around 500 some on Facebook. And all I ask is that if you're enjoying yourself and you think other people will enjoy, just tell people about us. I don't know what my goals are. I don't know if I have any goals. I just want to keep doing it because it's fun. And knowing that you're here with me makes it that much more fun. So thank you for that. And we will see you next week, Thursday night, for the Jefferson's Pritchard Hill Cabernet Cask. Looking forward to that one.